Hi, everybody. This is day 1064 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. Another interesting day that I have a lot to tell you. A lot to tell you. Let me make sure that everything's working, that I can get on Facebook, and that if you have any comments, then you can ask away. Okay, here we are. All right, thank you so much. This is day 1064. I'm on live. I see myself. And happy Friday. Happy Friday. Very interesting day today. I just want to tell you what a firm foundation that we are standing on when it comes to declaring that our son was murdered, that our foul play, absolutely, that there is a huge cover up going on, including many agencies and, just huge crimes. Now, you would say, oh my gosh, how could that be? Not all of these agencies that I'm about to mention could collude together, could conspire together, would risk um, acting so criminally to cover this up, to not just to cover it up, but to participate in the murder of Richard, to be responsible for his disappearance, to give the green light for the premeditated murder of our son. A whistleblower, he saw something, he said something, and I think it's very important to speak out boldly at this time because the the evidence is overwhelming. The footing that we're on is solid, absolutely solid. We are at 1,064 days. We didn't just jump into accusations, even though we suspected things very early on. I have to say, day one, because why would Captain Yoshida be so upset, breaking up emotionally? My husband saying, "Oh my gosh, I think he's crying," um, and act like that when Richard is just went AWOL or something. It didn't make sense to me, and it didn't make sense that Richard would go AWOL. He was the Distinguished Honor Graduate for basic training and AIT. He aspired and he wrote a letter from basic training. I'm going to try to get that up. Um, see if I have it. I wanted to bring that up. But he wrote a letter from basic training. Let's see if I can find that. That is that. Let's see, a letter. Let's see if I'm doing my searches right. See if I can, if I just posted it, I don't know if I can find it, but I will. There it is. No, so many letters. Okay, I'll better prepare for that and I'll find it and bring that up because I think that's really, really important for everyone to read. If you haven't read it, it's Richard's, and maybe someone can share that. But it's Richard's letter to Omi and Opie, his grandparents, when we had told him that they were going to come to his graduation since we were in Ireland at the time, and that they were going to come. And we didn't even know, he didn't even tell us that he was going to be distinguished honor graduate. He's just a humble person. And that was amazing. When my dad told me, we sent him $500. We sent Richard $500 to double the $500 award for being the Distinguished Honor Graduate. He was so excited, y'all. He was so excited. So that when we heard from Captain Yoshida, it didn't make any sense to us. Richard had thick skin. He was tough. He had a good footing himself. He knew the reason for his faith. He knew the reason why we need to have a moral compass in life. Absolutely, he knew it. Um, and, that was really the basis of our homeschool curriculum. The Ten Commandments, a basis of our homeschool curriculum, to know what each one really means and how we apply that to our life. So when, they were telling us that, he went AWOL, that didn't make any sense to us. And when Yoshida said it, about to cry and breaking up, it didn't make sense. But we didn't throw accusations around. We just said it didn't make any sense to us. And so now I want to declare on this live stream that we are absolutely on firm footing that there is foul play, that Richard not only was murdered, but it's premeditated murder, a premeditated murder that it seems like we're getting there. Evidence that the command gave a green light for it. And you'll find out why we're saying this in the coming months, because absolutely they tried everything with the retaliation that they organized and executed on Richard, with the Gomar, with the chaptering, they took all the tools out that they could and weaponized them against Richard. A field grade Article 15, with maximum punishment, and then some, and then some. They added to the punishment that is the maximum punishment allowed for the field grade Article 15. Okay? And, when he stood firm, I'm sure he was very emotional by then, but when he stood firm, they decided, okay, well, he's not going to do himself in, so we'll just murder him. That's my assessment at this point. He's not going to give up his breath. He's not going to give up his spirit. So we're going to have to take it from him, and that's really this comparison with A Few Good Men. That's really what's going on here, is the green lighting of the command against Richard. And so that's a huge accusation. I know it, and I'm going to give you some reasons why, for me, it really seems like this is the case. And we'll start off with the command. Okay. With the command, you don't respond the way you do. You don't have the CID telling people in the command to engage with the family. The command structure, the first sergeants, the unit members, the captain, the lieutenant colonel, the colonel, the generals, they should all know to engage with the family and let them know what's going on. But that was not the case. They were told to give us a call, and the calls were very very, they weren't heartfelt. They were structured. They were, what do you call it? That they're reading off a piece of paper, you know? Uh, so it was all scripted. I should say that. That's a right word. It was all very scripted. And of course, they had, taken Richard off the rolls, um, threw him out on the street, literally. Uh, well, threw him in the desert. Well, first they had to chop him up. But anyway, um, this gets really emotional talking about this. So I hope you forgive me. As the mother of Richard, knowing what I know, you really want to scream at these people because the general now, General Eisenhower, Major General Eisenhower, another one bites the dust. We received uh, a response from our letter that we said that we wrote yesterday. And you have to remember that he reached out to us. He wanted to help us. Um, so he wanted us to make sure that he was kept in the loop, that we forwarded communication to other people to him, that, he knew what was going on. And now he's telling us he's kicking the can. So he has a PhD in kicking the can. Well, no, I don't know if it was General McConville, because General McConville was right. Just a few days ago, he was in at Fort Bliss, and I'm sure there was a meeting. There was a meeting, and a meeting was called that afternoon, Friday afternoon, a week ago today, before the long weekend. And it lasted over 2.5 hours. That kind of meeting with a major general, a two-star general, um, is very abnormal. Okay, a 2.5+ hour meeting, and absolutely we have it confirmed that absolutely it was about Richard Halliday, and also the 14-year-old girl that was living in the barracks. There being pimped out in the barracks, living in the barracks. Um, yeah, so those were the two big conversations. And so somebody, I'm not saying that it was General McConville. God has such a great, you got Warmouth and Conville. Um, yeah, God has such a good sense of humor. Um, so I'm not saying that it was him who twisted Eisenhower, who snapped Eisenhower's heels together, and said, "You will have nothing to do with that Halliday family. You will have nothing to do with them." Um, yeah, he's too busy, get this, caring for volunteer sons and daughters of this country. Um, so we have to go to cold case. Yeah, we're supposed to go to cold case because they take their job seriously. Just like they take underage drinking seriously. It's just, he needs to lose that uniform. He just that's why we need this letter campaign to General Eisenhower, because he needs to know that the community is watching, and that if he can't give us answers, simple answers, like, well, I don't even want to give you our questions, but simple questions that would, what was Richard complaining about in the CID, right? Who's who, what's going on? Um, and I'll go over that right now. I'll go over that right now. But if he can't answer simple questions that we have, then he does not care about this country. He does not, if he doesn't have Richard's back, if he can't help our family, then he's not willing to help any family. Okay. Uh, because I'm going to tell you that if we listened to them at the beginning and just walked away, we would have been so lied to and not even known that we were lied to. How many other soldiers and their families are lied about and lied to and manipulated by this command that we have right now? You know, it's just that bad. And you think, how can it be that bad? Look, y'all, they are undercover anyway because they just committed crimes against humanity. So, they are so controlled because they just committed crimes against humanity. Our 44 four-star generals and admirals just lockstepped to crimes against humanity. Now, once you wrap your thought, your head, your understanding around that, then you will understand the capability of evil that's coming from our command structure within our military. And I'm not saying that the military is a that we're after the military. I'm saying that we have a Trojan horse. We have a Trojan horse military that has put some really shady characters in uniform and gave them lots of stars, and that they are out to harm our soldiers. They are out to harm our service members, our volunteer service members. They are out to harm them. And this has been going on for a while, and it's stepped up really big lately. And that's why we have uncontrollable suicide rates, uncontrollable sexual harassment, uncontrollable sexual assault, uncontrollable violent crime, that we even have to have a cold case violent crime unit. It tells you something. And that they have stepped up the mental, the psychological warfare on our volunteer daughters. That's why so many of them have to be on psychological drugs. That's why they have to go to counseling. That's why it's not because they're shell shocked, okay? It's because they are under attack by their very own leadership and by the curriculum, as you said, or the training guide, the training, the their op orgs. They have separate op orgs, and it is to do our military harm from within, from above, because the military takes orders. It's not a democracy in the military. They take orders. And so, if you want to take over a country, you really weaken first the faith, of course, the family. I mean, just read the literature on how to take over a country, and you will see shockingly a lot of similarities. Well, all similarities to what's been going on in our country. And one of the things that was an epiphany for me years ago was the education. And it came out today that our education is so bad. Our testing scores are so bad, even though they have testing, testing, testing. And, and I've spoke out against testing on these live streams many, many times. And it's not that I'm against tests. Matter of fact, I have made some tests, but I am against this testing across the board, right? To evaluate the IQ of everybody, to evaluate, to fit everyone in a box. Now, if you're going into plumbing and you have to take a plumbing test to see if you understand what you learned, that's one thing. But I'm talking about these bubble tests, and you know what I'm talking about, right? I don't have to explain it. So they're really, it's horrible, and Um, and I want to tell you that there was a talk about all this psychological um, warfare and operation going on in the schools through these testing. And it was amazing to me because the universities are seeing this with the new students coming in that have freshly graduated. And of course, after COVID, I mean, can you imagine? Um, but I want to tell you, Richard was not one of them. Okay? He was not one of them. He had not been put through that. He had not been put through that psychological warfare of grade school, middle school, and high school. He never went, okay? And he never was put through the psychological warfare of all the testing. Okay? He didn't do that. Even though he did take a German test, he did take a Korean test, he did take CLEPing. He clept out of college math at the age of 15. He took college German. He clept out of college German at the age of 15. And he was so excited to keep going with literature and on in history. Um, so he had that the CLEP books in his belongings when we got them back. Um, in that inventory. So that's how he was progressing with his education. And I want to make it clear that he was promoted uh, in December of 2022 and April of 2023. And they say that you can get promoted in 4 months if you have 24 college credits. Richard didn't have 24 college credits. Okay, he didn't have that many, and so that's very strange that he was promoted, especially since the law enforcement agencies behind our back. Remember the task force. Here we hold up this, presentation of Richard. I was going through it because tomorrow's his birthday. There's my dad, and Richard. I love that picture that was at cousin's wedding. He loved waistcoats. He loved wearing waistcoats. Um, so yeah, it's he just had a different life, and for that narrative to be brought forth, maybe they get away with it to try to suicide somebody, to try to smear somebody to their family, to their loved ones. Can you imagine how evil that is? But they do it. They tried it with us. And it didn't work because it didn't make sense. See, because Richard has a different profile than what they're used to. And that's what I think that the danger of public school is they try to put everyone in a box, and they're pretty successful at that. And by putting everybody in the same box, they can draw up these SOPs to control them, to smear them, to control their family, to control narratives and things like that. But see, it didn't work with us because it didn't fit Richard. It didn't fit him. And so we knew that something was stinky. And so it has taken 1,064 days. And I think we could have probably got here a little quicker, but we had COVID to deal with. COVID was just horrible. It closed down so many things. It slowed down so many things. It scared people to death. And, it just hurt searching for Richard. I can't even tell you how bad it was in putting obstacles in our way and trying to get answers for Richard. And I'm sure many, many, many people had the same experience with their own family problems, with their own individual problems that they were trying to deal with, just uh, trying to go to a wedding, trying to go to a funeral, trying to have a funeral, trying to deal with parents that were in homes and trying to visit them and trying to care for them, the hospital situation and more. So I've heard so many different stories. But in our case, it absolutely was true that COVID, not any kind of illness, but that the mandates, the fear of it, and all of that, that is what hurt the search for Richard. So, but more than that, more than that, the command hurt the search for Richard because uh, they were involved in it. Okay, they're involved, and it was a cover up. And so when the CID came back in, um, they absolutely knew so much more than what they told us. So the command and the CID did not tell us that Richard was a whistleblower, did not tell us that Richard made Child Protective Service complaints. We found out that from Boleyn. Okay? Boleyn told us that Richard made the Child Protective Service complaints. And they knew who Boleyn was and is. And they know even more than what we know. And I'm just thinking about her. Let's pray for her. Pray for her. Because she did not have the upbringing that Richard had. She was put through the system. And I think Richard really, his feelings, his emotions went out to her. And he didn't win. He didn't win. And when I watched the hours-long interview with the PI that I have, I absolutely understood why he wanted to give her a chance. She never sold him out. I know she talked about him with drugs, which is nonsense because where's the proof, right? Where's the proof? We've been asking for it. But the way she did it, she even took that back in witness statement. She just could not bring herself to really sell him out totally. And I'll be always grateful to her for that. I really will. I mean, she could talk trash in social media or whatever, but when it came to a law enforcement agency, she did not. She didn't. And that's when it matters. And so I'll be forever grateful for her for that truth. And so when you're out in your little social community, you're expected to talk, be trashy. And Richard warned her about that. They say they respect you. This is his words. They say they respect you, but they don't. They think of you bad. And the guys, they're just horny. They want to see you naked. So I think those were very profound words from him. And I'm not saying that he wasn't tainted by Delta Battery 143 by being in those barracks. But I'm very proud that at his age, he kept his moral compass as well as he did. Yeah, to even say that to her was a nice, a real hero. And the CID didn't tell us this stuff. The CID did not give us the video of him saying, I'd rather burn my money than spend it on horse and blow. See, they didn't like that. They make money off of the soldiers spending money on horse and blow. You know, they give them the $25,000, $50,000 enlistment because they know they're young. They know they make bad decisions. They really know if they've been put through the system that they are easily tempted, and they will spend it on, and they provide them with the horse and blow. And Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz admitted to us that they provided them with the horse. And don't tell me that the girls that they brought in were going in there to, I don't know, play Monopoly with them or whatever. Okay? We've been told that they were even given money. And this is, I'm not trying to demean these young girls, and I don't even think that they were carded. I don't think they were all 21 years old. Okay, and they were going into parties where there was plenty of alcoholic beverages. Okay, and I don't think that so did the military provide this alcohol, right? um, maybe not legally, but Command Sergeant Major said they provided the girls. They meaning Command Sergeant Major Clem Coward and him. Now, did those girls go in empty handed, or were they taught by their mama to always bring something with them when they go to a party? Did they bring something with them? All right. So you have the command and the CID. The CID is not telling us that they brought in girls during the COVID. The CID is not telling us that Richard, right? The CID is not telling us that Richard was a whistleblower to the CPS. The CID is not telling us about Belen Rocha. We have to discover that all on our own. Call her on our own. When we called her, then the CID called us and had a three-way meeting. And we said, okay, let's have a three-way meeting. They wanted to hear, and that's good because, at least they're admitting to the surveillance of us. Okay. Have they conducted surveillance on us without us knowing? I don't know. But they wanted to be in on that three-way meeting. And they didn't give us any time to even prepare for it. But we were prepared enough. We were prepared enough. Everything is in God's time. And, you can question things like, why didn't I do this? Or why didn't I ask this? Or why didn't I know this? And I just have not done that to myself. And Rob hasn't either. We have, did the best that we could every day and knew that we had at this because every day something was exposed. Something was exposed and we might not have understood it. Why? But we just felt like it's another piece to the puzzle and we'll put it in there. And right now we don't see clearly, but at a time, at a right time, and I think right now is a good time. Right now is a good time. And we see things very, the most clear that we have seen it in these 1,000 days, 1,000 plus days, right? So we absolutely know that the CID, because we have we have that they scrubbed Richard's file of our key witness, of one of our key witnesses, one of our prime witnesses. They scrubbed Richard's file of that witness. Okay? We have that proof. We also have a key witness, the same key witness. They don't want this evidence to come out. saying that Richard's file was leaked by Special Agent, CID Special Agent Tavita Nusa, to Leilani Hart. And we have Leilani Hart in an El Paso Police Department complaint, um, saying that she is bragging, she's boasting that she controls the Fort Bliss CID. Okay? Um, and this is all just a little bit. We have so much more, because what about the military police? Okay? Because that's involved in this. So you have the command all the way up to General McConville, and I'm sure we even have now Senator Cruz is involved in this. He is a witness now, because he's a witness to Director Ford of CID, telling that the CID was not involved in the investigation of Richard's case until the 1st of September 2020. That's very big, y'all. Because if Richard was some kind of wannabe Al Capone, why would the CID have waited until September 1st, 2020, after we came in, after there was social media posts? See, we don't even know how powerful we are. We are so much more powerful than any of these people that think they're powerful. Okay? And we're powerful by getting out the information. That's why those letters to Major General Eisenhower are so important. Okay, even though he kind of just blew it today, he blew it, or another one bites the dust. Should I do a TikTok? Another one bites the dust. You got McConville, another one bites the dust. Then you got David Stewart, another one bites the dust. And you have Sean Bernabe, another one bites the dust. And then you have Donna Martin, another one bites the dust. And Clem Coward, another one bites the dust. And now you have General Eisenhower, another one bites the dust. They're all biting the dust of the feet on them from their foreign and domestic enemies that they are serving instead of defending the Constitution. Okay? That's what they're doing. And there's another general in there too that I didn't have for. There's a lot more in there. Yeah, Garrett, another one bites the dust. Yeah. I think I should do like a TikTok from that and maybe do a little dance with it, because they think they're so powerful, and they think they have a future, and they think they're going to go out into the sunset, and all the while they're destroying their country. All the while they're destroying our volunteer sons and daughters. They committed against humanity, you all. They committed crimes against humanity. When you wrap your head around that, go look it up, go define that, go see what it is when you, and I should post it up, when you commit crimes against humanity, what that means. Okay, and that's a tip of the iceberg. I was sent a video of service members throwing away their Desert Storm, Desert Shield, all their Iraqi, Afghanistan war medals, because they know now that they were lied to. I was, I can't remember who sent that to me, but wow, a wowzer. Okay, and these generals, 44 4-star generals and admirals, are leading our flag officers, our military, in the service of foreign and domestic enemies, not defending our Constitution. No way. No way. There's plenty of evidence. And in this case, you see that clearly. And General Eisenhower just, they twisted him up like Stewart. I think they did this last Friday. He was given orders, and he wants that third star, y'all. He wants that third star, and he will sell out his country. And I'm going to tell you, you don't get to the bottom of this case, you're selling out your country. All right? It's not because it's my son. It just happens to be my son. But you're talking about now the CID, the FBI, the command, the DOD, DOJ, the JAG, and the sheriffs. And that's just some of these agencies that are up to no good. We have the FBI up to no good. We have the JAG, who's supposed to be helping us. The Department of Justice up to no good. And then we have the sheriffs, the Fugitive Apprehension Group unit, the Fugitive Apprehension Unit, an assault unit. I've been briefed on this by my husband. This is an assault unit that's meant to intimidate, that's meant to arrest, and we cooperated. Right? We cooperated with them because, you could be arrested. And I'm not easily made afraid. I'm really, really afraid of God. Afraid of him. Because that's a beginning of wisdom, right? That's, to be, I don't want to not be with God. I just do not want to not be with God. I am so afraid of that. And I remember when I was little, I had this unbelievable fear to disappoint my father, my daddy. I did not want to disappoint him. I did not want him to be mad at me. And I never did. I never wanted my dad to be mad at me. And I think that's very, very healthy, especially when you have a wonderful father like I did. I know that in this case, there is some really, really bad fathers. But God is the best. Okay? God is the best. And so that's what I fear. So all of these, McConville and the CID and the FBI and this group that, tried to call and intimidate me day after day after day for months and months. And I know they have power. I know they do. But they don't have dominion. They don't have dominion. And they're not future oriented. All they think about is fulfilling their desires now at this moment. I want this now at this moment. And they could care less about the future. And, so that's not who I am. I'm future oriented. I want something for my grandbabies. Something beautiful, something wonderful. Something free. I want them to be able to travel. I don't want them to go to TSA. I want them to be able to have that experience that I had growing up, mowing lawns for a year, babysitting, working at Burger King at a pretty young age. I kind of lied about my age, going to work at Burger King, so I could get money to go visit my grandmother in Germany and just run to the plane and get on. Oh, those were the days. Those were the days. And that's why I love being older, because it was a privilege. It's a privilege to have those memories. We're being brought low. We really are being brought low and being treated very, very badly as citizens. As human beings, we're being attacked and brought very low. And so I want a future for my grandbabies and for my children, and and onward, you know. So, and I know that if we bow to the hat, it's kind of like in that William Tell video that I made. If you bow to the hat, they're going to come after your family. They always do. And they hurt Richard. Absolutely, they hurt Richard, which we haven't even been allowed to grieve like we want to. Um, and it's his birthday tomorrow. Terrible situation, but the JAG. So I went over the command DOD, the CID, the sheriffs. That they can't even produce a warrant for trespassing. Being in their full gear, being an assault team. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh my gosh, they're just so beautiful. I wasn't. Um, they're meant to be intimidating. Okay, they are. The guy was 6'8", the one that came to the door of full battle gear. I mean, stand in front of a guy at 6'8". They're meant to be intimidating. Um, they absolutely needed to have a warrant. We thought that were on the up and up. We cooperated, but things weren't on the up and up, y'all. Things were a show, and we should have known back then, because when they came in, they knew they had no probable cause. They had no probable cause, and so we should have known, because without probable cause, you can't have a warrant, right? So, and they clearly, in their report, um, give great indication that there's no probable cause at all, for a warrant to search our house. So we have the sheriffs, we have the CID over and over again, the command over and over again, the DOD, and now even today. You think that Eisenhower's letter to us today, message to us today, is not indication of their dereliction and negligence and their collusion and conspiracy to cover this up? That's not a piece of evidence. It's a piece of evidence. And that's why they don't like to write us these letters, because it's a piece of evidence. And it's so bad. It's so disgusting. Best regards, Jim. Best regards, Jim. No, how about we will find Richard Halliday, General Eisenhower, Major General Eisenhower. How about something like that? You see, he's been groomed. It's not a what do you call it? It's not an army anymore. It's not an army anymore. Where is his resolution to do his duty? It's sure not in that email, in that letter. So we'll chew on it a little bit and see how we're going to answer it. But because he's the one that wanted to be involved, and now he's kicking the can. It seems to me that General McConville being there, kind of had some kind of influence in changing his mind, how he was going to deal with this. And he trusted General McConville, the absolute criminal. He's an absolute criminal. Oh my gosh, he's so bad. And General Eisenhower trusted him over the family. Over the family. A criminal. It's not like he's a good general. No, he's betrayed the world. He's betrayed the Americans, and he betrayed the world. I mean, it's so bad. They led. Anyway, you know what I mean. But JAG, this JAG thing going on, the not only do we have a conflict of interest in the CID, and more than one conflict of interest in the CID, and I bet it goes over to the sheriffs too. I guess it's who you know and whatever, and there's a conflict of interest in the command. Absolutely, there's a conflict of interest, and then the JAG now has a conflict of interest, a huge one. So we'll see what kind of answer. We're not getting an answer back yet, which is also really troubling because JAG, especially when they're supposed to be representing the family, they're supposed to get back with us, right? They're supposed to get back with us quick. Um, and then, of course, we have the FBI with FBI man. Okay. Um, so, how can you deny FBI man? I mean, he is his history. When you look at his history, he is not just nobody. He can stand on his own 2 feet, really tall, and he's the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Brad Bugado, which gives him more edge because it gives him intel from within the G3, okay, from operations. So here he is, an importer, uh, 3 taxis importer, and he has an ability, and it looks like he got it, intel from inside G3 of the 32nd AgCom operations. And what intel was telling him was that Richard was found by the FBI in Juarez, Mexico, that the FBI had crossed over into Mexico. That makes us international. So, what Mexican authority allowed the FBI to cross over? Because we called the State Department, the special agent there at the State Department, and he confirmed to us that the FBI was indeed looking for Richard's remains in Mexico. In Mexico. So the Mexican authorities had to know and give permission. The FBI can't just go over to a foreign country and look for the body of a soldier or anybody. Oh, we're just going to look around here. So, who gave them, and to remove that body, right? And remove the partial fragmented, in Mexico, the way the autopsy reads is fragmented remains. Okay? Um, so, and why can't the general tell us, hey, don't worry about those autopsies, that's not real, that was fake information given to you? No, he doesn't even say that. He just kicks the can. Go to the cold case unit, where we have a huge complaint in to Representative Nora Torres, saying there's some inaction going on. They're not doing their job at the cold case. And then you have Major General Eisenhower absolutely receiving that information from us and saying, no, just go to the cold case anyway. Wow. Wow. So the FBI was in Juarez, Mexico, looking for the remains of Richard. So this is huge news. Huge. Because you've got the FBI, you've got JAG. Now, the JAG email that we sent in that we're awaiting answers to is, did our JAG representative, our attorney there, right, did he ban a key witness from Fort Bliss? Was he involved? Was his team involved? Was his JAG team involved in banning a key witness from Fort Bliss? Because the key witness has the authority to go onto the garrison, has the authority to go into the barracks to speak to soldiers, to speak to other authorities on Fort Bliss to find out what happened to Richard, and they banned him. They banned him. So, who banned him? Well, the feedback that we're getting is that our very representative there in JAG banned our key witness. So that's a huge conflict of interest. So we're waiting for his response on that. So I'm just letting you know what's happening. That's huge. So you've got the FBI, you've got JAG, DOJ, you've got the Command, DOD, you've got the CID, you've got the sheriffs. There is major collusion and conspiracy going on to cover up what? A soldier that just wanted to get a drink and go out the back door? That just walked away? I don't think so. And then if you ask yourself, well, why didn't they, at that task force meeting when they were all there, right? They were all there. ATF was there. That's alcohol, tobacco, firearms, explosives. They were there. They don't just come to be nice. They don't come to just like, oh, this is interesting. Let me come and hear this. No. There's weapons involved in this, y'all. There's weapons involved in this. Okay? And firearms. They would call them firearms. There's firearms involved in this. Okay? And then, Homeland Security. And you're talking about 15 plus agencies. And the CID doesn't even get involved until September 1st, 2020, as Director Ford stated to Senator Ted Cruz. And so Senator Ted Cruz is a witness to that. So this is, I think we're on a very firm foundation to say there's premeditated murder here of our son. Okay, that's been covered up because he saw something. He said something because they covered up the fact that he was a whistleblower. They didn't want it to get out in the media or to the family that he complained to the Child Protective Services, that he complained to the CID, and a CID file was turned in, notarized on the 22nd of July, 2020, the day before he went missing, notarized and turned in to the CID of Leilani Hart's family. That includes First Lieutenant Dallas Hart, engaged in incest, a 7-year-old being sexually assaulted in her master bedroom by multiple members of the family, and child pornography. So why are they covering that up? Who's involved in that child sex trafficking, the child pornography? And I'm sure there's all kinds of other things involved in this. I really believe that the sale of military equipment and firearms and ammunition are involved in this. Because if you're going to be involved in child pornography, if you're going to be involved in child sex trafficking, if you're going to be involved in this kind of criminal atmosphere, you're going to want weapons. And of course, that we have pictures of our key suspects owning very, very sharp weapons that need to be investigated as weapons that dismembered Richard Halliday, our son. Now, try to be a mom and get on live stream and say something like that. Try to do it. That's how cruel these people are. That's how absolute heartless that Major General Eisenhower just buddied up with. He just buddied up with that heartlessness. And then he says in the same breath that he wants to protect, and this was a slight because I say it all the time on the live streams, our volunteer sons and daughters of this republic. Yeah, he just buddied up with them. Um, I don't think he fears God. And I will tell you this, for years and years, people have been given God like this buttercup kind of image. You know, love, 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 love. And, a buttercup, like he's floating around and whatever. No, no, no. God is no buttercup. And I call him, and I've described him to our children as the heavyweight champion of creation. He is what gives weight to all things. He can give a punch that you, well, um, he, let's just say you don't mess with God. And so I'm not going to side with these very evil orcs, I want to call them, inhumane. I mean, with leaders like this, who needs enemies that will cover and protect and collude and conspire together to protect those that sexually assault 7-year-olds, that sex traffic young children, that bring, and I'm sure they were young girls onto base, a 14-year-old girl living in the barracks, and then um, living in the barracks being prostituted out. That's not my words. That was the report. She was being prostituted out, and I know even more about that case. That would just shock your socks off. I'm serious. I'm serious. And this is not a one time thing because we have it, we have a witness statement that says civilians stay in the barracks all the time. All the time. Was it these girls that they brought in late at night during COVID? Or did Jake Jakovitz, um, you know, chaperone them, make sure they were 6 feet apart, and then drove them back home to their mommies? I don't think that happened. And the thing is it was so big in the culture, he thought that that would be acceptable. It would be okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's normalized now. It's normalized that we can defend a family, a household, sexually assaulting a 7-year-old in a master bedroom, in Lalani Hart's master bedroom. It's okay that we have a child. It's okay. They want to normalize that for us to say it's okay, but it's not. And I'm not going to side with them like Major General Eisenhower just did. I'm not doing it. I'm not. And I don't think, well, I know Richard didn't. Richard didn't. He didn't bow to the hat. He's a hero, y'all. And I will not let him die in vain. I will not let his death be in vain, his brutal murder in vain, his torture in vain, his retaliation in vain. I will not let it happen. This is my son. He did something remarkable, absolutely remarkable, and he paid the ultimate price. He paid the ultimate price. for having a moral, decent character and standing up, more so than a Major General Eisenhower, more so than a Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe or Captain Park. And anyone that called him names, it's because they were flabbergasted that a young man would stand up to them and call them out for the evil demons they are. What he did, what Richard Halliday did, and I want to remember him, especially on his birthday, but we need to get this out. What he did was absolutely remarkable because he stood up to this culture that wants to normalize so much evil. Yeah, they should have they're on this path to promote him. They should just promote him right up there to the 4-star general. We'll let his ghost, his spirit, lead our military. His example to stand up. Because I'll tell you, when I was there, and remember that day, that paralegal, we went to his house, and he had been screaming, no problem, screaming from his backyard to us. But when I went up to his door face to face to ask him, why are you screaming about my son? Do you know something? I mean, I'm not intimidating, right? I'm not intimidating. Do you know something about my son? I mean, he looked like he needed to be to go to probably a year-long spa day. I hate to say a mental institution, but he was absolutely psychologically stressed out. Why? Because Fort Bliss is a mess. It's a mess. Okay, let's read some comments now. Thank you, Anicia. Thank you so much. Thank you, Danielle. Find Richard Halliday, U.S. Army, and bring very first CONUS, Death 1, missing soldier, which we call him the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier, so people will understand, but he is the first CONUS, Death 1, missing soldier under the new Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flowchart. That's kind of a mouthful, but we call him the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier. They are morally and legally obligated to give you Richard's remains. Doesn't seem like they're taking Vanessa Guillen absentee soldier flowchart seriously. No, and they're not. They're kicking the memory of Vanessa Guillen right in the teeth. All this hot air that they say. This charm school, when they get in front of the media and the media twists it to say, oh, they're so heartfelt. They really care. No. I'm telling you, they don't. They don't care. They don't care. And that's why they need to lose their uniforms. They need to lose those stars. They need to lose those uniforms. They need to go out and get a different job. And those that committed crimes against humanity, well, let's just hope. Let's just hope. Okay? But, yeah. They need to not be leading our volunteer sons and daughters of this republic. That's for sure. Especially when they cave so easily for a star like Major General Eisenhower just did. He just caved. He just sided with them. Sided with those that are protecting the rape of a 7-year-old. Protecting child pornography. Protecting the grooming of so many, and mostly women, these, I should say, girls, right? Because those girls that they brought in, I bet you they weren't 40. No, I bet you they weren't even 21. All right. I can't say that enough. Think about it. They're setting them up. They're setting them up for underage drinking. They're setting them up for sexual assault. They're setting them up for sexual harassment. They're setting themselves up for fentanyl. They're setting themselves up for all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. And it was our leadership that brought them in. Have you spoken to the FBI about looking for Richard Halliday's remains in Mexico? Yes, we gave it to them as soon as we left there. We gave them all of that information, and they came back and they said to us, "Oh, don't worry about him. He's just some guy. He's just some guy that follows your Facebook. That's all. He saw that map on your wall or whatever." No, y'all. Nope. Nope. And we didn't buy that then. Okay. And there's more to it with the FBI. There's more. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's even more. Okay. There's more to the JAG story too. This is all just tip of the iceberg. Have you spoken to the FBI? Have you recontacted ATF? We were given like a point of contact to all these, but see, there was no operational order, and the U.S. Army soldiers that came to that meeting, including 2 3-star generals, they were all out of uniform. Donna Martin, she's a lieutenant general, 3-star general. She put a chair in the middle of the room, 30 of us, about 30, maybe 31, maybe 29, 30. She put a chair in the middle of the room and sat like an Indian in the middle of the room on that chair in civilian clothing. That's how she conducted the Task Force Find Richard Halliday meeting. I want to hear about Richard. And we presented Richard. Maybe he tried to fool the FBI. Who did? Nadal Baim or Richard? Who are you talking about? There's no fool in the FBI. The FBI are up to no good. We see that right now. That's why I think the timing is pretty good, because it is so exposed now how the FBI have been weaponized against us, how our agencies, the Department of Justice, has been weaponized against us. Remember that we were at January 6th. We understand that so many innocent people were retaliated against for what? For what? And I know that there were some, I'm not talking about the bad actors. And because some of the bad actors, they didn't get into trouble at all, because, if you're an FBI informant that's causing trouble and, being an infiltrator, you can commit crimes. Look that up. Because I was curious of how these FBI infiltrators can come into a case, come into a close, a cause, and cause so much trouble, or try to be an entrusted member, and commit crimes, huge crimes, and not get in trouble. It's interesting. It makes you wonder how many people in this case are FBI informants. Is that why they're, covering for them? I don't know. I don't know, because they're allowed to commit crimes, y'all. Are they allowed to sexually assault children? They're allowed to commit crimes. I don't know. I don't know. All right. So thank you so much. Let me make sure I've got all the comments. Thank you for your prayers, Anicia. Thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. And, you know, I'm just saying we're on a firm foundation. When you know that the CID is up to no good, the command is up to no good, the JAG is up to no good, the FBI is up to no good, the sheriffs are up to no good, and you have proof like we do, then you know that there's collusion. You know that there's conspiracy. You know that they were up to no good, and that you can stand firm on the allegation. Let's call it an protect ourselves here, an allegation that this is a premeditated murder of Richard Halliday and the forced disappearance, the conspiracy, and the premeditated murder of Richard Halliday. All right, everyone. Please use this weekend to talk to friends, talk to people that you go into certain groups with, that you work with, that you go to church with, your neighborhood, to send a letter to Major General Eisenhower. I guess it's never too late to repent, but just do that. And then also, that might be a birthday present to Richard. And then also, we're coming up to his anniversary. So we just need the command there to know that the community cares. So whatever letter you send that say you care about our service members, and at the end say, find Richard Halliday, find Richard Halliday, give us Richard's remains, will have great impact. It's more powerful than anything they can do. Okay, because you have to remember, these generals, these people, they're just in suits. They're just in these uniforms. They really can't make any decision. That's the one thing that I learned from watching Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. All the decisions were made by the SJA, were made by the lawyers who's giving them the marching orders. Sean Bernabe, I can't do anything. I can't say anything. I can't give any orders, whatever, without the approval of my SJA. That's just how it was, just shocking. So why do we need these generals? Just give the stars to the SJAs, right? It would save us a lot of taxpayers' money. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.